Hello. Thank you very much for joining me here at Happy Science New York. My name is Ari. Thank you for joining me for the Innate Spirituality of Women, the spiritual truth about birth and motherhood. So today, we will be talking about the wonderful spiritual process of birth using an example of a baby's spiritual message, and we will contemplate on our parents. As it is Mother's Day, I think today is a very good day to think on our parents and even reflect back on our birth. And hopefully by the end of this seminar, you will feel just a wonderment and awe at the beauty and miracle of life, of your own, of your parents, of your children, and of all people in this world. And we will also practice a meditation on happiness. So let's begin. So today I will be speaking from a book called My Conversations, or Conversations with a 0-Year-Old. Now, what is that? Well, Happy Science is founded by Master Ryuho Okawa, and he has the ability to converse with any spirit in the spirit world. And so this book is his conversations with his grandson, Ryuichi. And this book was compiled by him, his daughter Sayaka, Ryuichi's mom, and Ryuichi. A little bit about Sayaka Okawa. She is Master Okawa's eldest daughter and successor to Happy Science. She herself is a very prolific author as well. She's written a lot of children's books too, given a lot of lectures on various topics about the mind, about the soul, and about history as well. And on education too. She has also written the script for a number of movies, most recently The Real Exorcist, the trailer of which I will be showing you at the very end of this program. And she is a singer and songwriter as well, and her music is used in the movie, so you'll get to listen to that too. Basically, she is a very, very hardworking mom. Master Okawa, he is the founder and CEO of Happy Science Group. He founded it in 1986, 5 years before Sayaka was born. Since then, he has given over 3,000 lectures and 1,000 spiritual messages, including many from great figures in history. So, how does a spiritual message work? Obviously, the baby doesn't speak verbally. These spiritual messages were made possible by Master Okawa's 6 divine powers, in which he was able to converse with and hear the voice of the soul still in heaven, preparing to come into his mother's womb. He was able to listen to the soul now inside the mother's womb, and then listen to the thoughts of the baby that was born. Apparently, when Master Okawa's 5 kids were born, he conversed with them in a similar way. They all came to him to say hello. So, when Sayaka and Naoki, her husband, were married and a few years passed, Master Okawa wondered, maybe I'll reach out and see if there is a spirit preparing to be born as their child. So on July 22nd, 2017, he asked, "Is there someone up there waiting to be born?" And a spirit answers, "Of course." Sayaka, the mother, asks, "What kind of person are you?" And Master Okawa, not only is he able to hear the spirits, he can also see them as well. This has been his life 24/7 for over 30 years. And just a side note, unlike other channelers who fall into a trance, Master Okawa is fully conscious throughout this whole channeling. He says, I see a beard. And the spirit replies, I've been told to start preparing. Now, this, I understand, must be an astonishing truth for a lot of us. I understand that some religions don't really kind of think, they don't really approve of the idea of reincarnation. However, even in Christianity, in the Old Testament, it is mentioned that Elijah will return, that God will send the prophet Elijah before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. So that, I feel, kind of points to the possibility of reincarnation being admitted, acknowledged even in Christianity or Judaism. Of course, Hinduism, Buddhism, they all speak of reincarnation. And the fact that a spirit exists in heaven and is preparing to come into this world is not unique to just special souls. Not at all. This is the truth for all of us. And that is what Master Okawa is trying to share by publishing a book such as this. Furthermore, we don't just come in here haphazardly. We choose to come here. We are the ones that ask our parents to have us so that we can be in this world. And we come here, why? Because we have a goal and a purpose that we want to fulfill. We want to grow here as well. This is a wonderful place to experience incredible growth. That's why Master Okawa calls this world, this physical world, a training ground, a school for the soul. And furthermore, not only do we get to discover more about ourselves through our interactions with other people, through our experiences here in this world, some very harsh, some very wonderful, we also discovered the different roles we can play in influencing and impacting others around us in a positive way. So there is much that the soul can gain from being in this world. The spirit goes on to say that I will be like a gust of wind, a great gale that will carry your ship forward. Hold strong for 20 more years. There will be a war, but I will win. Whether I will become a politician or an ace striker that will save the country from a crisis will depend on what the time calls for. I'm smart, but I don't know how well I'll do at school. My hope is to be born next year in 2018. I'm more like a war god, so it will be good for me to be born to calm and kind parents. In the 12th century, I helped my mother through a national crisis. I don't know if I'm the best candidate to lead the religious organization. Please decide that in relation to the others. But I do plan on becoming someone indispensable to this country. My hope is to be born as a boy. So I feel like that shows that we are aware of our strengths because we as a soul, we exist as the unique individual that we are. We have our strengths, but we're being born into a new era. Our last time here on earth might have been 200, 300 years ago. Or some of us might have been born very recently, such as like in World War II, but maybe our lives were cut short, so we wanted a second chance, or give a go at a second chance more quickly, and so we're here again in less than 70 plus years or so. It all depends on the soul, but in any case, although we have our strengths, it's a new environment that we're bringing ourselves into, and we aren't sure how well we'll do. That's the exciting part of it. It's also a little fearful, but it's very exciting. And also, we aren't just born to any random person. We have a connection with the parents we are born to. Like in this spiritual message, the soul reveals that he has a connection with his mom since, for example, many connections, but one eventful one was in the 12th century. The spirit later reveals himself to be this military man born in the mid-19th century. That's his most previous incarnation. He was an admiral in the Imperial Japanese Navy, and he was one of Japan's greatest naval heroes. So this is also kind of astonishing and a bit mind-blowing, but Master Okawa, in addition to revealing all these spiritual messages and also teaching us about the true relationship between this world and the other world, who we are, he's also saying that the spirit world is vast, that it's not just the Creator God and then the rest of us. There are many spirits and angels and high spirits as well in between, and some of them have been considered gods with a lowercase g in many polytheistic religions. And these gods, they have been worshipped because they have worked for the interest and benefit of a group of people, a region, or a nation, or maybe a religious group. And so Master Okawa is also revealing that there have been conflicts between these different gods as well. However, they are all, in the end, working under the Creator God in order to push humanity forward, to help humanity progress, but there are also other gods who are working to make sure that it happens in harmony. So this is already, imagine, a lot to take in, but to bring it back to the individual, to yourself, to mothers, grandmothers, mothers-to-be, I would like you to think about how your children, your grandchildren, or your children to come have chosen you as their parent. The mother, Sayaka Okawa, says, "It was an indescribable feeling of joy to learn that someone has chosen you as their parent." My boss back in Toronto, I remember him telling me after he was guiding a seminar called Self-Reflection and Gratitude to Parents, and he was also taking part in the meditation, and he said that he was suddenly struck by this realization that his 12-year-old daughter now had chosen him to be her father. And he was just in such kind of astonishment and awe. And I'm sure he was moved as well, because we know ourselves the most. We know all our faults and shortcomings. So to think that somebody had chosen us, knowing that we're not perfect, it's really something. So 2 months later, after this spiritual message was recorded, Sayaka learns that she is pregnant. Well, pregnancy is a miracle because she understands that it's the soul that decides when they're going to come into you, to be born in this world. And they do so by calculating backwards from when they want to become an adult and start living their mission, their purpose that they came here for. So it really is a miracle. Before we go on, I would like to just kind of show visually what I described verbally a little bit before. Again, just to make sure there's no misunderstandings, that reincarnation isn't a recycling of life. It's not like you die to join the cloud and then you come back randomly as a fly or a cow. Human beings generally are reborn as human beings. And you, this entity that takes on different names, are born into different eras, different regions, well, You may acquire a different personality and live a different life each time, but you remain the same. So all the effort you make, you will carry with you to the other world. Yes, you can't take anything material with you, but what you absorb into your heart, you take with you. And so that means you also carry with you your habits and your tendencies and your way of thinking as well. So another reason why we come into this world is to also correct them, change them, and improve them so that they're better tendencies. So essentially, you are a thinking energy. That's really important. That means that what you think, how you live, what philosophy you hold as you live your life, and what you live for, your aspirations and your dreams, and the effort you make to fulfill them, even if you are unable to accomplish your dreams and aspirations in this lifetime, still it's progress. You are that much closer to your aspirations and dreams. They may just be too big for you to accomplish in a single lifetime, but it is still meaningful that you strove to try to become closer to it, because in another lifetime you may decide to continue that pursuit, and that lifetime will take you closer as well. Some people might feel that it's unfair that some people are born into this world seemingly blessed with incredible talent, so much of it. But Master Okawa points out that, well, this is not just the only lifetime in which you have accumulated the results of your efforts. You have actually lived many lifetimes, and who you are right now could be a reflection of how you lived your life. So really, it's almost meaningless to compare yourself with others so much. You want to treasure who you are and measure yourself based on the distance that you have come. Now, I would also like to point out that every one of us that is here in this world has come from heaven. And this Master Okawa has given a lot of teachings describing how heaven is a multidimensional world and what it's like there. Yes, some of us end up kind of messing up our lives a little bit and creating more misery than happiness in our lifetime. And when we go back, when we recognize that, sometimes we might decide that we need to spend a little bit of time in hell. But the fact that you are living here, listening to this seminar right now, means that you were able, even if you had messed up, even if you had caused a lot of misery to others, you had been able to recognize your mistakes and really, really determined to learn from your mistakes so that you won't repeat them again, and to make up for all the misery that you might have created. Or perhaps you are grateful for the mercy and the forgiveness of others who had allowed you to go through that mistake, go through that failure, go through that mess, so that you can learn, and you're here to try to give back. In any case, you were able to return to heaven. That's why you're here, because all souls who are born into this world can only come into this world from heaven. Now, the process of birth. There is a picture book. There's a lot of children's books that Happy Science has put out, and one of them is this. Unfortunately, it's only in Japanese, but it kind of shows in illustrations how a child, well, actually you're an adult in the other world. You speak to your parents who have not yet been born into this world, and you receive their permission to be born to them. And you also create a very detailed plan of how you want to live your lifetime. Furthermore, you actually study about this new era you're being born into. And to think of it, we've all studied what the past 2,000 years of our history has been like in middle school and high school history class. And I would like you to imagine yourself being the very people that live these 2,000 years of history. Human history and the history of the world is actually much longer than the 2,000 years we're talking about right now. Much, much longer. Including ancient civilizations that archaeologists don't really acknowledge or dismiss. Master Okawa talks about that in books like The Laws of the Sun and Golden Laws. But really, I would like for you to think about how you were the ones that lived these eras. And now you are here, living in a very scientifically advanced, technologically advanced era. And you can imagine how eager and excited you must have been to be in this world and to see how you can live and test yourself in this world. And also there are still a lot that our present world is lacking. There's a lot of poverty. Science and technology has certainly advanced, and it can advance a lot more. So maybe you're here to push that forward as well. But in the process, it has also lost these truths, such as what I'm sharing here today, of who you are and where you came from. So imagine a future in which what is being shared through Master Okawa being common sense, basic knowledge for everyone, and there being very highly advanced science and technology. To me, that's a even more exciting era. So it's very possible that that's the sort of future that we chose to participate in building since we are here living in this 21st century. And even with the coronavirus around, and a lot of people are saying that maybe the doomsday is near, well, Master Okawa also says that because in our preparation in coming into this world, we saw everything. We knew what we were getting into. And trials and tribulations, sometimes we even plan into our lives so that they can help us become stronger or maybe acquire greater wisdom. There's a lot to think about, yes, because some trials, they feel like they are too harsh to possibly be something that we could plan in ourselves. But again, it's a part of exploring who we are, discovering who we are. And for that, Master Okawa has given a lot of teachings. So I think it's very worthwhile to kind of explore this perspective. Getting back to the process of birth, because I diverge. When does the soul enter the fetus? It's actually around week 9 of pregnancy, just when the embryo starts becoming a fetus and starts really showing the features of a human baby. Up to that point, the soul is still an adult consciousness, and week 9, it begins the process of losing its adult consciousness to be more of a baby consciousness. For a couple months, it goes back and forth, and by the 8th month of pregnancy, the soul is completely a baby consciousness. So if it gets aborted at that stage, well, when it returns to heaven, it will have to begin its life again in heaven, in the spirit world, as a baby. And Master Okawa says it takes about 20 years for that soul to go back to being back being at its adult consciousness again. An interesting note about morning sickness. So women, they suffer a lot of nausea, and it's called morning sickness. And apparently it's caused by the soul of the baby trying to dock with the fetus. And morning sickness will continue until the baby soul and the mother can coexist harmoniously. If you're interested in understanding the relationship between the development of the physical baby and then the soul docking in with it, A Challenge of Enlightenment has a great chapter on that. It's called Karma and Reincarnation. But this is exactly why I mean that women have an innate spirituality. Master Okawa says in Healing Yourself that a man can go through life without really developing a spiritual power, but women are like psychic mediums in order to be able to allow another soul, another person's soul to dwell in them for 9 to 10 months. Furthermore, this soul can actually influence you as well, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll talk about it now. For example, so this is obviously later about between the months of 4 months of pregnancy to 7 months, between 4 and 7 months of pregnancy. Sayaka, the mother, said that she experienced changes in what she feels like she wants to do, or like food preferences as well. And I've heard my other friends and colleagues in Happy Science who's had kids tell me about this too. How a Japanese woman, she doesn't have a craving for hamburgers and potato chips, hamburgers and French fries normally. When she was pregnant, that was all she wanted. The American food was all she craved. And so she was wondering, is my daughter maybe a soul from the United States? In Sayaka's case, she said that because the soul is this kind of soul he is, she said that she had a very strong urge to check the international news section in the newspaper every day. Or she also felt like she needed to build up her stamina more. So she had this natural urge and desire to walk 10,000 steps every day too. And also, maybe because the soul is also a very diligent personality, she said her work speed accelerated and sped up a lot as well. So I feel like this is something to kind of really look forward to if you are pregnant, or if childbirth is already in your past, maybe look back and think if there were any changes, and it can give you glimpses into the personality and tendency of the soul of your child. So around 12 weeks and 3 days, November 27, 2017, Master Okawa again kind of reaches out to the soul and sees what the soul, now dwelling in Sayaka's body, has to say. And he says, "I am content. My mother is very kind. The outside world seems abuzz with commotion, but I am overflowing with happiness. My father is a wonderful man too. I can sense that he is trying to lead and guide me by example. Gaga goo goo. When I'm born next year, I want to do so well that Grandpa, Dad, and Mom's worries are blown away." So here you can see the soul beginning to become a baby, but still holding on to the ability to revert back to its adult self. And then December 14th, 2017, 13 weeks and 3 days into the pregnancy, Sayaka and Naoki, the parents, they see the fetus growing into a tiny human on the ultrasound scan. And so they come back home feeling very moved. And then that's when Master Akawa says, I think Ryuichi has something he wants to say. And this is what he says. "Papa, mama, mama kind. Mama is so kind. It feels so nice. It always feels so nice. I feel like I'm wrapped in a soft blanket of heaven's clouds. Mama is so kind, so warm and shining. There is always light shining. Papa is a great man. He's kind, great, and strong. He protects me. He is a good man. I am the light of hope. Next year is going to overflow with light. So don't cry, Grandpa. Don't cry, Grandma. You're fighting so hard. I'm going to fight for everyone because I'm strong. When I'm born, everything is going to be all right. During this time, the Okawa family was having some family issues happening, and it was a bit tumultuous. And so again, you can see that the baby is aware of what's happening around him outside of the belly. That's because it's not because it doesn't have to do anything with the development of the hearing faculties, but we are all spiritual beings, and so we can sense and read other people's hearts and minds. He goes on to say, I'm so happy, I'm so happy, I'm so blessed, I'm thankful for that. Can you play that song again? Panda Roomba, Panda Roomba, Panda Roomba. I'll be crawling by Christmas next year, maybe even stand. I'm going to be born to bring happiness to everyone. Soon I'll be born. When winter passes and spring comes, I'll be born. I'm going to remember this happy feeling and give back to the world. There are so many others who are suffering. There are so many who are having a hard time inside their mother, or their mothers are having a hard time. I'm lucky. Grandpa is so kind. Wait for me a little longer. I'm going to make everyone's lives better. Here again, we can sense that a baby is excited to be born. He can't wait to be born, and he probably can't wait to grow up and finally be an adult as well. And the reason why they want to be born and grow up so quickly is because they want to help others. They just want to be a strength to others. Now, what does he mean by a lot of others suffering? Well, it's actually scary for a baby to be inside the womb as well. So, the risks of life. Master Okawa reveals that, number one, being born into this world is very tough because various conditions have to come together to come into this world. The soul coming into this world is excited but also anxious because even though they have asked their parents to have them, will the parents meet? Will they marry? Will they even decide to have children? What if one of them has an accident and they're unable to get together? Well, there will have to be a change in these couplings. Or if the parents decide they don't meet but marry other people, who will the soul follow? Will they be born with their mother or born to their father? Their life plans can change constantly. There's always the risk of that. There's lots of contingencies. And even when you come into a mother's womb, well, there's also no guarantee that the birth will be smooth and safe, that the baby will be healthy, that the mother will be healthy. All of this are variables. And also interesting to know is that physically, to be inside the womb, it can be like a dark cavern. Can be kind of wet and so there's that as well. And you're also lonely in there. It's solitude. And there's also the anxiety of having been an adult soul, but then you have to become a baby, become completely helpless, where you are completely dependent on other people. If nobody takes care of you, you die. And furthermore, your memory of everything, all the past lives you've lived, they get erased when you start this new life. That's so you can have a blank state. That's so that in the case you were a king in the past life, you're not a 3-year-old saying that, well, I was a king. Or if you had been a thief, a criminal in your past life. You don't have to carry over that guilt in this lifetime. You can start anew. But it's all very anxious. There's a lot of anxiety and there is a lot of risk. So that is what he's talking about. However, we as spiritual beings, we can sense love. And he describes the love he feels as feeling like soft blankets of heaven's clouds. And he says, I'm going to remember this happy feeling forever and give back to the world. We are enveloped in immense love, a lot of love. And that's another reason why Master Okawa is revealing all this truth, in addition to sharing spiritual truths. When we are born into this world, we see ourselves as a physical, separate entity. We are unable to sense other people's minds. It's very easy to feel alone and cut off. We also, as we grow, might experience a lot of disappointments, sorrows, and failures. And this can easily make us forget that we are loved and that we have been given a lot of love. We forget these things very easily and instead turn into someone who can only focus and see on what is lacking. Or we might become somebody who, despite all the love that he or she is already being given, instead of discovering that we have the ability to give, we continue to feel like we need more. We need more and more and more, even as an adult. A lot of people actually go through their lives never realizing that everything has already been given to them. But when they do realize that everything is given to them, they realize that they are here to give. And that is our true nature. Ryuichi, in the spiritual message, we are getting to see the true nature that all of us have as children, as babies. Because we can sense viscerally the love that surrounds us, embraces us, there's no doubt in our mind that we want to give back. We are so grateful. We just want to give back, and that brings us joy. The truth is, even as adults, that is still our true nature. So that is why today we'll be practicing a meditation on happiness, to shift away from focusing on what has been imperfect in our lives, what has been lacking, what has not been given to us, because we can't receive everything from the people around us. But spiritually, we are given everything. And so when we close our physical eyes to open our spiritual eyes, we will see that truth. On March 25th, 2018, 29 weeks and 2 days in, just before, this is about, I think, the 7th month, or just before the 8th month, Master Okawa tries to see if Ryuichi would like to say something just before he is about to be born. And at this time, Ryuichi is already a baby consciousness. So his spiritual message begins with baby babbling. And then he says, but his gratitude and his determination to help others is still the same. He says, Mama, thank you, thank you. Mama is great. Mama is doing so much. I dream soon, meaning he's going to be born soon. I'm so happy. Everyone is going to be so proud of me. I'm going to protect everyone. I love you, Mama. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be a good example. I'm going to grow up so fast that I can help you. You'll be proud you gave birth to me. I'm going to make Grandpa proud too. And then he says, around me, a lot of cherry blossoms are abloom. Everyone is applauding me, saying, good luck, farewell, bon voyage. So in Yuichi's case, this send-off in heaven is happening right before he's born. And that's probably because he was able to hold on to such a strong mind to be able to speak even at 8 months of pregnancy. 8 months in the pregnancy. For most of us, it happens around week 9 when we come into this world to dwell in the fetus. But all of us receive a send-off. So imagine, who might have been the friends and angels around you who sent you, who gave you a send-off as you prepare to enter into this world. Babies come into this world celebrated by the spirits in heaven. And then as the day of birth approached, on May 2nd, this is actually about a month before Ryuichi is actually born, Master Okawa asked Ryuichi when he wishes to be born. The doctor had said that the baby was expected early June, but when asked, Ryuichi said that while he doesn't want to burden his mother's body by being born too soon, he hoped to be born in the month of May, which held meaning for him. And lo and behold, on the night of May 27th, Sayaka felt that her belly was exceptionally heavy that night. At 3 a.m., she awoke for no particular reason, but then her water broke. And so they went to the hospital, and then the contractions began to start that morning. By 7 a.m., she was in the delivery room, and by 1:46, Ryuichi was born. It was a very speedy birth. Sayaka says that when she held Ryuichi, she said that even after all that communication, she still felt amazed that there really was a tiny life that had been living inside of her. And she said that her first thoughts were, welcome to this world. Thank you for being born. She said she was overwhelmed with love when she saw him trying to open his eyes in his newborn body to try to get a glimpse of her. And apparently babies can remember the sound of their parents' voice because the maternity nurse told Sayaka, you must have spoken to him a lot while he was inside you. He knew exactly who his mother was by the sound of her voice, by the sound of your voice. About crying, it's said that babies cry the moment they're born in order to start breathing normally. But Master Ka says they are also crying from an indescribable mixture of feelings, suffering, joy, anxiety, and the relief of finally being liberated from the solitude of being inside the womb. It is, like I said, you were an adult soul and now you are a baby, helpless, and there is no guarantee that your life in this world will be a success, that it will follow the script that you had written for yourself. So life is a scary thing, in addition to being exciting. But babies accept all of this, all of the risk, all the dangers, and are born into this world with incredible courage. That day, the day Ryuichi was born, he gets to meet Master Okawa for the first time, and this is what Master Okawa hears when he listens to baby Ryuichi's inner voice, the sound of sleeping peacefully. And then Uh, 6 days later, or this is day 6, this is after the mother and baby are back home. And this is what Master Ka hears when he listens to Ryuichi's inner voice again. Ryuichi is sleeping, so of course he hears zzz. So his consciousness is blurry because he's been born. It's right after birth. He's a baby. But astonishingly, his old man consciousness comes back again. Before he was born, Ryuichi had been dropping words of wisdom, like this one. One of the words of wisdom he gave at week 35 of pregnancy was, if you do it, it will get done. If you don't do it, it won't get done. Anything that fails to happen is because people failed to do it. Pretty harsh. But even as a baby, his old self starts coming back again. And so I'd like to share a few that are my favorites. June 9th, day 12, after being born. This is the words that Master Okawa hears, the inner voice of Ryuichi. Live peacefully. Live even if it's hard. June 25th, day 28. Please don't flatter me. I can only grow day by day. I find that cute, that he's so humble. July 11th, day 44. I look forward to speaking with my future friends I have yet to meet. In the Laws of Courage, Master Ka talks about how we are born into this world with 20 to 30 soulmates, actually. This is what he's talking about. This is what Ryuichi is talking about. These 20-30 soulmates are people we have spent many lifetimes with in the past. They could be our parents, our best friends, they could be rivals, they could be teachers, anybody who is indispensable to your development and growth as a soul, or perhaps also indispensable in you fulfilling your mission. Master Ka says that when we are born, these 20-30 soulmates are born with us into the same world. So, some of you might already be, some of them might already be around you. Some of them you may have yet to meet. Ryuichi was born 2 years ago, so maybe the soulmates that he's talking about, the friends he has yet to meet he's talking about here, are one of you or one of your children. Who knows? July 14th, day 47, he says, I feel the greatness of my mother's love greater and greater each day. July 19th, day 52, beautiful, beautiful. The world is beautiful. Sayaka asks, what do you mean? Or, yes, after hearing Master Kawa relay these words, Sayaka asks, what do you mean? But the response is, I can't explain. I feel like as a pure soul, fresh out of heaven, this world truly appears differently. And probably they are seeing the world in the way that it truly appears. If the world appears gray and dark and maybe even very mean to you, Master Ka says that we can always reflect back on the incidents that has made us feel that way. We can always turn them around to change them into nourishment and regain this ability to see the beauty of the world, to see the beauty in other people. July 22nd, day 55, Baby Ryuichi says, "The more seriously I think about the future, the more I feel it is important for me to live trying my hardest. The future opens only for those who create, and those who give shall be given too. This is the truth." Kind of made me think about how perhaps babies deep, 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 deep down inside in their soul are really still thinking about their hopes and dreams that they want to fulfill in this lifetime. And even now as adults, those hopes and dreams are still there. We might have experienced a lot of failures and disappointments, but if you were truly honest with ourselves, if we were truly honest with ourselves, I really believe that all of us can still find that little tinder, that flame of hope to accomplish this aspiration we have inside, this dream inside. And we know that not only will it make us really happy, fulfill us, bring meaning to our lives, but also bring a lot of good and wonderful things and happiness to the people in this world too. And then, July 31st, day 64. This is 2 months since Ryuichi was born. Ryuichi declares that he will stop giving spiritual messages. He says, "Today is the last day I give my words of wisdom. From now on, I will start my baby training." And by baby training, I think he means that, well, we all need to learn everything again, relearn it. And this effort that we make to be able to build up ourselves so that in the future we can give back to other people is really a big chunk of the reason why we are here. And also being indebted to a lot of people's care, to a lot of people's love, I think is also important for us to experience too, so that we can give and know that even if we're not appreciated for what we do at that time, well, all of us have so many examples of others who have given so much to us, and yet we never got the chance to give back to them. At the end of the book, Sayaka writes, "Even though his past life and the tendency he has been revealed, this life is a new start. I hope to raise him so that he will treasure the personality he develops in this new lifetime. I hope he will try things that are outside of his strengths, and though he may be a future leader, I hope that he will not feel pressured or become conceited, not become full of himself. The future is not set in stone." So that was the spiritual message from Ryuichi, Sayaka, and Master Okawa. Now, a few things. So, of course, there are all kinds of babies. We heard from a very idealistic sounding baby. Apparently, Ryuichi, who is 2 years old now, even as a newborn baby, was very cooperative with his working mother, that he would sleep for 10-12 hours soundly. And she said that that was a great help for her to be able to write her books, prepare for lectures, and write screenplays. Also recently, Sayaka Okawa gave a lecture, and she mentioned that Ryuichi at 2 years old is still staying true to his spiritual messages. He's trying to help her as much as he can, even in his 2-year-old body. She said that he would take a fork and try to feed fruits to her as he is sitting on her lap. And I think that's so cute. Master Okawa says that there's always love we can give to others, no matter what our circumstances is. We can be bedridden, and even a smile can be love that we give to others. And here's a baby giving love, giving without expecting anything in return. I think it's really inspiring. So yes, he is a very idealistic sounding baby, but Each of us is different. We all have various workbooks of life. Even Master Okawa's 5 kids were very different. The eldest was apparently very rambunctious. Sayaka was not born on her due date. She had to be brought out of her mother's stomach by cesarean section. Some souls, apparently, according to Master Okawa, choose to be born with disabilities. And the reason could be because they have a bigger purpose to fulfill, and it may be to teach others or serve as a role model. And an example is Helen Keller. Helen Keller was struck by an illness that left her blind and deaf at 19 months of age. If she had grown up and gone through her life without these disabilities, Master Ka says she would still have been considered a talented woman and a good writer, but she probably would not have inspired and encouraged the world so powerfully. It was precisely because she triumphed over such harsh handicaps that she became a beacon of hope for many people with disabilities. If someone with no physical disabilities were to tell blind and deaf people to learn contentedness, to learn to be content, many of them would probably find it difficult to accept those words. But her words were convincing because she had experienced the difficulty of living with disabilities and had learned how to shine through hardships. So angels of light, apparently, will sometimes choose adversities in order to be able to influence and inspire a greater number of people. Also, with relationships, again, although our relationships, we plan them in advance, like I said before, things happened, and so there's always a plan B, a plan C, and so on and so forth. And there are also many plan Bs and plan Cs in terms of scripts for our life here in this world as well. Even when a relationship collapses or fades away, there will always be new soulmates or friends whom you have special ties that will appear among the new relationships you make in this world. Also, not all women plan to have a family, raise a family. There are some women who create a life plan where they choose not to become mothers, but devote themselves to their work, like Umeko Tsuda, who was one of the youngest women from Japan to study abroad in the United States, and upon returning, she was the first to start a college for women in Japan. And she never married, never had a family. And also, this may be of concern to some people, losing a child from miscarriage. In that case, Master Ka says, send your love to your child and pray for the child's happiness in the other world. And they will feel that. They will be able to receive that. So now going into the next part, gratitude to parents. It's really interesting to think that there are lots among the animal kingdom. Human beings are really the only ones that need 20 years to truly become an adult. It's funny because even Master Okawa kind of talks about how he understands some people wondering, why can't humans pop out eggs like reptilians or chickens? Why does it take so long for a human child to grow? Why do women have to not only go through 9 months, 10 months of pregnancy, but nursing and caring, and also the monthly menstruation, which really kind of messes up how we are every month. It really kind of makes it harder for us to work. Well, Master Ka, he says a lot about it, but it comes down to us discovering and understanding what it means to really love, to nurture, and to forgive. Because this is These are essential natures of who we are, but they are also something that we cannot learn. We do not, these are things that we must learn. Even though they are a part of our innate nature, when we are born into this physical world in a physical body, our first instinct is to live for self-preservation. To be selfless, the opposite of putting yourself first. To be selfless and to think of others, to live for love, to love others, to live to nurture others, and to live to forgive others. And to not do this so that these actions, love, nurture, and forgive, they are a giving action. Nowhere in there is this direction of receiving. To do this, you have to go against almost your animal instincts. And so this is something that we need to learn, and to have people in our lives who express that, represent that, and model that for us is truly, truly valuable. If all of us could love, nurture, and forgive, it would be like a world full of doctors and cooks. Because everyone could take care of others, everyone could cook for others, there would be nobody starving, and there would be nobody suffering as a patient, as a sick patient. Everyone would be able to take care of each other. That's the sort of world we could see if everyone could learn to love, nurture, and forgive. But we see many examples of us failing to do so, and I think it shows how difficult this really is to do, but also worthwhile, very meaningful to do this. In fact, Master Ka says that the love that we give in this world, the effort we make towards that end in this world, has 10 times the value of the same action done in heaven. So, I would now like to go into thinking about the love that we have received from our parents. Before that, though, I would like to share with you a video from our book ambassador, Innate. And she will be sharing with us her takeaway from a book called Unhappiness Syndrome.
Hi, my name is Innate. I am the book ambassador for New York Temple. However, everyone's doing well today. The book for this week is called The Unhappiness Syndrome, 20 Habits of Unhappy People and How to Change Them. So, of course, we don't want people to stay unhappy. And there is a section in here that talks about women and family. And I would like to utilize what I learned from this book and also to give some wonderful words for the lovely women that we have in our world today, because it is the Mother's Day special for this Sunday. So I would like to focus on this. In the unhappiness syndrome, it looks like it was made quite clear to me that women have a lot of problems. So it could range from, I don't know, like not being able to get married, from getting married but not finding the right spouse. Maybe you are married, but then you have children, and then your children don't want to listen to you. Or you can actually be a single parent and have a child, and then things are not going well there. You may actually also be a caretaker for a parent that's ill, and also you might be taking care of a child that is not biologically yours. All these problems can happen in a woman's life. I'm not saying every single problem. For some women, actually, a lot of these problems do happen in their lives. There's a wonderful reason why women go through a lot of scenarios that can be very difficult to deal with. Women are placed in a position where they have to wear a lot of hats, and they have to figure out how to manage all of that. How do they do it? Well, there's something wonderful about a woman's nature. A woman's nature is very spiritual, because we encounter a lot of these scenarios, there's something that inclines women towards spirituality, towards God. There is this mystical sense because women have so much love they need to give. I'm not saying want to give, I say need to give. Because I can easily tell you that many women are placed in situations where the love they are giving tends to be challenged quite often, and how much they can keep giving, how much can they keep their emotions above water. This is very difficult to do, and I can say, as being a Happy Science member for 8 years, being a woman and a Happy Science member, it teaches you a lot about spirituality, makes you into a superhero. I know this sounds crazy, but it makes you into a superhero because with spirituality, you actually learn how big your heart can become. And the bigger that your heart becomes, I'm not saying these problems become easier, but you start seeing purpose in these problems that you encounter. And because women go through a lot of problems, we have a lot more to introspect. We have a lot more to examine. We have a lot more to determine about what kind of person we want to become. And that's so important. And I hope that more women in this world take a moment to really think about how precious they really are and how deeply connected they are to their core, to, as a child of God, they're capable of so much. But this all comes through determination. If you are going to look at your problems as this overwhelming thing, it can be overwhelming. But if you're just going to look at it as an overwhelming thing that cannot be solved, you're not going to encounter this superpower that you have deep inside of you, called your Buddha nature, called your nature likeness as God's child. The more you choose to push yourself in this life with all of these problems and all of these scenarios and all this multi-hat wearing that you wear as a woman and trying to make people happy and trying to navigate your life, you're going to find it and you're going to feel like you can conquer a lot of difficulties in this life. And people are going to look at you as a superhero, believe it or not. So I leave this video with this. If you feel, especially as a woman, if you feel that your life is overwhelming and you cannot grasp a moment of peace, then take a moment to actually seek that peace. And then in retrospect, you're going to find that deep connection to your spirituality and your your godlikeness as a child of God. Thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a lovely day today. Bye.
Thank you so much, Annette, for that reminder of the superpower that's actually within us, called the Buddha nature, or the likeness of God inside. And that not only resides in us, but it resides in our parents or whoever our guardians were as we were growing up as children. No matter who your parents were, even if they were the best parents in the world, the worst, most horrendous, most unbelievable, most mean people they might have been, or you may not have never known them because they abandoned you, or maybe they passed away, or perhaps you had many parents in your life from remarriage or divorce, stepmothers, stepfathers, no matter who they are, when we equipped it with this truth that Master Ka is revealing, learn that in each one of us is something called a Buddha nature, or the likeness of God within us, then we begin to be able to sift through the dirt, or maybe even remove the mud that has caked over this beautiful shining core within each of us, and to discover that and discover the love pouring out from there to us. So that is the purpose of our brief practice of gratitude to parents. And here I would like to look at two forms of love. There is actually a maternal, let's see, yes. So Master Okawa, sorry, let me backtrack. Master Okawa says that there are developmental stages to love. There is fundamental love, nurturing love, forgiving love, and love is incarnate. But love can manifest itself in many forms. And two of those forms is maternal love and paternal love. So let's take a look at those. First, maternal love. It is often said that a maternal love is unconditional. This is because mothers went through the pain of childbirth. For 10 months, mothers endured the pains and discomforts of pregnancy, and so she wouldn't like to hear someone say that her child is good or bad because of the child's doing. Because she had such a hard time bringing her children into the world, she loves them and wants them to grow up right and strong, no matter what. Maternal love is like the ocean, embracing all, both the sweet and the bitter. Paternal love, on the other hand, is like an immense mountain that demands that you rise and be greater. And even though it's Mother's Day, we're going to look at this too. Generally speaking, it is said that paternal love is a conditional love. Fathers love their children, but there are conditions to that love, such as the child must listen to the father to study hard and not be lazy. This is so they won't run into trouble in the real world. This is how fathers show their love to their children. So being a father is rather tough. Their children normally do not see the best part of their fathers, being wise and hardworking at their jobs. Their wives don't see that either. All they see is their worn-out countenance when they come home battered and broken after a hard day at the office. And I'm sharing both maternal and paternal love because sometimes it's the mother that expresses the paternal love. It could be the father that expresses the maternal love. The point is, it's important for us, I believe, to be able to recognize the love that has been given. When we think about gratitude to our parents, gratitude to mom, we think about the things that she's bought for us, or maybe the things she's said. But we also want to look at the invisible gestures of love, or even at this unspoken, unverbalized, unexpressed love that was in her heart all the time, or in your father's heart all the time, only expressed in the form of perhaps a strong sense of responsibility to try to make sure that you had some financial means to stay alive, stay fed, stay clothed, get to school, go to school, so on and so forth. There is a lot of love that is not materially manifested or physically expressed, but equally real. And it's very important for us to be able to spot this, especially because our ability to see this unexpressed love, or love in other forms that we don't initially expect love to be in. For example, we might say that our father or mother didn't love us because instead of giving us chocolate cake, which is our favorite, she gave us strawberry shortcake. It's a very simple example, but there are many times when we rejected somebody's expression of love simply because it wasn't in the form that we wanted it in. Or perhaps we had been receiving love, but we wanted more of it, and therefore we felt that we weren't getting enough, or maybe we weren't getting as much as we wanted. There's so many aspects in which we have kind of came up with our own reasons for believing that the love wasn't there when It really was. So we need to remove these self-imposed obstacles, these filters preventing us from seeing the love that had been given to us. Children expect their parents to worry about them, but now that you're all grown up, there are things that you probably understand now that you did not as a child. Regular life was hard enough for your parents, but on top of that, they had children that were always getting sick, hurt, or into some kind of trouble. Many parents feel guilty for not spending enough time with their children. They want to spend time with them, but they have to work. They suffer, stuck between a proverbial rock and a hard place, and their children just don't understand this. This gratitude to parents has been very popular in Japan as well. It's available in the form of a seminar, Self-Reflection and Gratitude to Parents, and it was very popular because a lot of us suffer from the sense of not being loved, not feeling enough. Interestingly, Master Okawa says in the Unhappiness Syndrome, the book Innate introduced, that if you are struggling with negotiations in life, it may be because you have a fundamental lack of confidence in yourself, and that lack of confidence might actually come from not feeling loved by parents. But as Master Okawa is trying to point out, that it's not that our parents didn't love us. We just need to remove whatever it was that prevented us from seeing the love. So yes, you know, you might want to counter that, but it's really worth the effort, because a lot of people in Japan who did take this seminar really dug into their past to try to discover the love from parents, such as a parent who was a gangster or a mother who had abandoned him as a baby. You know, in all kinds of situations, they dug for their parents' love, and they found it. And when they found it, it changed them, it transformed them. And not only that, their relationships with their present partners or lovers or children, or even their work colleagues and bosses, all of these changed dramatically for them as well. So person after person went, the rumor went around, it spread by word of mouth, and lots of people took this seminar. So with the trust that this love can be dug up, let us enter into this meditation. But before we do, I would like for us to recite a sutra. It's called The True Words Spoken by Buddha, and this is from Master Ryuho Okawa, The Rebirth of Buddha. With our science and technological advancements, we have definitely developed our horizontal connections to communicate with others on Earth, but we have actually lost our vertical connections to communicate with heaven. When we connect with heaven, what happens is we can actually receive spiritual light or messages from our guardian and guiding spirits. When in meditation or in prayer, you will discover that the spirit world has no space. You can transcend space and time in this spiritual world. Your surface consciousness might not remember all the things that have been given to you in your life, but your subconscious knows. So, using a sutra such as the True Words Spoken by Buddha can activate this, develop your vertical connections, and help you to remember vividly the love that you have been given, or even vividly feel what your parents felt at that instance. You can re-experience the love you were given in meditation. So let us begin. The power of gratitude that we can almost send to others. The gratitude we can send to others has the power to heal and protect our older parents. There are many who are in nursing homes And these places are very vulnerable right now. So I'm sure there are a lot of you who are worried and concerned. But for example, there was a woman, a Happy Science member in the Netherlands, whose mother was at a nursing home, but she took a ritual prayer to defeat the infectious novel coronavirus originated in China, and her mother is all right. And also, the even though there were coronavirus cases in the nursing home where her mother is, the building where her mother is, there are no coronavirus cases. Also, Annette, her testimony is on our YouTube channel, Happy Science New York, in which she describes how her mother, who had anxiety, diabetes, asthma, depression, was able to recover from the coronavirus in 1 week after being hospitalized for it. And yes, she took the ritual prayer, but she also was strongly determined to put her negative past with her mother completely behind her. And throughout those 7-8 days, she was on the phone day in, day out, making sure that her mother was getting everything she needed, and also really calming her down and keeping her positive when she was having her moments of anxiety and even panic attacks. And her mother was able to recover because of that. I really feel that Annette's determination to just love her mother really came across. Her mother felt loved, and I'm sure that turned into her determination and willpower to live. In Miraculous Ways to Conquer Cancer, Master Cause says about ailments that afflict parents who are older, such as dementia, Alzheimer's, and so on. In this particular woman's case, in which he did a spiritual reading, Master Ka says, when she looks back on her life, it looks as though the length of time she has actually felt happy is very short. The more she looks back, the more she remembers memories of her being unhappy. In such cases, we try to erase those bad memories as a defense mechanism. This makes us prone to brain diseases such as dementia. In other words, she doesn't want to remember her past. So what can we do? Well, if the people around her are grateful for her and she is happy in her current situation, then all her hardships in the past will turn into happy memories. You can change your future. If you are somebody who feels that you're too old to change your future, then what you can do is just learn the lessons that you need to learn from your unchangeable past through self-reflection, and that's enough. If you are happy now, you can say that yes, it's enough, and what you can do is focus on being happy now. Of course, if you are at an age where you can change your future, sow the seeds, sow good seeds to create a better future, because if your future is bright, then you can look at your past and say, well, it's because of that past that I am happy now and the future is so bright. And also, if you are happy now, then your past can actually turn into gold. All the hardships that you experienced in your past will turn into gold. So what the people around her can do to help her feel happy now is to be grateful for her. Even if it is difficult to put it into words, it is important that the family fills their heart with words of gratitude, such as thank you, mother, or thank you, grandmother, and wish for her to feel happiness at this current moment. Of course, this gratitude needs to be authentic, but practices like gratitude to parents, meditation to happiness can allow you to discover authentic, genuine, real gratitude to your parents. And when you discover that, when you tap into that, they will feel it, they will know it, and it will transform them as well. Lastly, I would like for us to think about the parent of our souls. And that existence has been called by different names, but this existence's intent and love for us has forever been unchanging. It is, O humankind, O humankind, seek infinite growth. All beings, do not be weak of heart. I will bestow upon you arduous trials in order to make you even greater people. To make iron sand into steel requires intense refining by flame, intense refining by water, and intense refining by hammer. These trials I will bestow upon you. Be strong, undergo infinite training, be infinitely beautiful, be infinitely good. This is the hopes and love that the parent of our soul has for us. And so for us to be infinitely beautiful, infinitely good, everything is given to us, including our hardships, including our trials. If we cannot feel as if everything is given to us, if we are struggling to find the love in our life, then the key is coming to know the parent of our soul. Lastly, I would like to show you a video. We are living in an incredible era to be able to hear words like these and learn truths such as the truths Master Okawa has shared with us. So I hope that you will join us as a member here at Happy Science and receive this sutra, the true words spoken by Buddha. You can join online at happyscience-na.org. If you're an expectant mother and you would like to be more in tune with your baby, if you would like to start a family, receive guidance from heaven, it's a great reason to receive this sutra. But more importantly, by leading an orderly life based on faith, for example, by reciting the sutra every day, helps us to develop tolerance, helps us to become more peaceful, patient, and tranquil, allowing us to really be more sensitive to love around us. And that becomes our energy to be able to give back to the world in many forms, not just to our families, but through our work, in our companies, which can employ a lot of people and bring greater prosperity into this world, maybe resolve a lot of problems that we are experiencing in this world, resolve even national and international issues as well. The power of love to be able to do so much in this world is immense, and that's what we're here to do. So in order to really activate that true nature, that true power within you, please receive this sutra, the true words spoken by Buddha, and join us in studying these amazing teachings. And lastly, as promised, I would like to show you a trailer of Sayaka Okawa's movie, the movie that she was the screenwriter for. This is executively produced by Master Okawa. So that was The Real Exorcist, a movie about spiritual possession and exorcism. Just as there are guardian spirits, just as heaven is real, well, unfortunately, so are these negative existences, but who they are is really us and our future selves, unless we are able to really see all the love and goodness in this world. If we become very mean-spirited and just angry and hate the world, well, these evil spirits are who we become. So that's what this movie is about. And the music you heard is Sayaka singing The Real Exorcist, which is available on digital stream and download. So that is all for my seminar today. Thank you very much for joining. I'm sorry that it is 20 minutes over, but I hoped you learned a lot. And please share this seminar video with many others. It will be made publicly available in a couple hours.